What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. In this video, it's November 9th. It's Wednesday evening here. We're going to go over the Week 10 fantasy preview here. We're going to go through all the games, and I'll get you guys all the notable news and actions, of course, for the games this weekend. Let's get right started into it. On the screen here, I do have the link open. There's a link in the description as well if you guys want to follow along. I did put the Week 10 spread totals here. So the way to read this is I have the team totals highlighted. This means the Chiefs are projected to score 30 points against the Jags. They have a spread of 9.5. They're supposed to win. 50.5 total implied. Teams in the red means they're not going to score a lot of points. So I think the Giants defense, Philadelphia's defense, Tennessee, the Raiders, the Cowboys, maybe the Saints defense. These are all defenses that you want to play and stream this week. So with that being said, let's look at our first game on the week here, the Thursday night football game. And actually, I just want to mention 4 teams on bye: Ravens, Bengals, Patriots, and Jets. But let's look at this Thursday night football game. Atlanta hosts or at Carolina. Falcons favored to win by 3 points, 43.5 total implied in this one. It sounds like the weather might be a problem in this one. I saw rain and some wind and things like that. So I don't expect a heavy passing day. If it were up to me, I'd prefer not to have anybody in this game, maybe besides Cordero Patterson. So Marcus Mariota, a super flex QB2. You're starting Cordero Patterson as a nice running back 2 this week. Kyle Pitts has been coming around the last few games, so I think he can be a nice tight end 1 option for us. Drake London, kind of on the fence here. He really hasn't played well since the first few games. So he's more of a flex option. He's probably best left on your bench in this one. Maybe the Falcons defense. Again, there's not a lot of points expected in this game. I think the Falcons are projected to score 23. The Panthers about 20. So if you want, maybe take the winner here with the Falcons defense. But Algier, Huntley, Damiere Byrd, Olamide Zaccheaus, leave these guys on the bench. On the Panther side, they did say PJ Walker's going to start. I'm not using him in fantasy football. He did have a nice game against the Falcons a couple weeks back, so I'm open to him being good. But again, the weather might be into play here. Deonta Foreman's kind of just a low-end RB2. We saw the floor come in last week for him. He had 2 awesome games for us, but last week he kind of struggled. Chuba Hubbard is likely to play in this one here. They haven't listed as questionable, so that might take some touches out of Foreman's pockets. DJ Moore, just a wide receiver 3 flex. And then Terrace Marshall Jr., I think he's been playing well the last couple of games. He can be a wide receiver 3 flex option, but again, I'm not super excited to get players in this game. If you need to, I would rely on benching these guys. We'll see if Sam Darnold gets called up for the active roster. He might be starting next week. We'll see. But again, not a super exciting Thursday night football game. Try and avoid this again if you can. I think Cordero Patterson's the only must start of this game. Let's look at the Sunday early Germany game. Yes, we have football early in the morning when we wake up. It's going to be the Seattle Seahawks at Tampa Bay. The Bucs favored to win by 3, 44.5 implied. I'm not sure why the Bucs are favored to win. I think the Seahawks have a good stake at this one. Tom Brady, a low-end QB1. If you need him, I suppose he can be top 10, top 12. Leonard Fournette, continue to start him. It's not been a very good last few games for Fournette, but he's still getting the volume. They do like Rachaad White, though he might be getting more touches down the stretch. Go ahead and start Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. It's a good matchup for these guys. If you look at the fantasy points allowed chart, the Seahawks defense, they've been better of late here, but they are red against receivers, so it's not a very good matchup. They do allow quarterback, running back, and tight end points, but continue to use Evans and Godwin. They're kind of interchangeable. I kind of view them more so as our wide receiver 2s. I'm open to starting this Bucs defense. And then Cade Otton, if you need a tight end this week, I suppose Cade Otton could be a low-end tight end 1. Rachaad White, I still don't love him. He's more of a low-end flex option. Julio, Cameron Brate, just say no. I do think Cameron Brate's going to play, so that's kind of why I'm not super high on Cade Otton. On the Seahawks side, continue to use Geno Smith. You're starting Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. Like, you want to get these, like, that's the offense for the Seahawks. Keep it simple. Try and get these guys in your lineups. And then I'm open to starting the Seahawks defense. We know Tampa Bay offense has not been one of their strongest parts of their game this year. So I think if the Seahawks can dictate it with Kenneth Walker and play low-scoring game and just be efficient, you could keep that Bucs offense on the sideline. If you need a tight end, sure, Noah Fant, Will Dissly, Travis Homer. Not super excited about these guys. But, man, Tampa Bay favored to win by 3. I mean, I'm kind of liking the Seattle Seahawks side here, but we'll see. Tom Brady and company, you never count them out. But let's look at the early games here. We have the Minnesota Vikings at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo favored to win by 7.5. 48 implied in this one. Everything's about the health of Josh Allen in this one. He didn't really get a practice in today. They have officially listed him as a DNP. So we're not going to know until game time. I think if I get any Josh Allen questions, I'm going to say you start him if he plays. If not, it's going to be Case Keenum in there, who's just a low end QB2. And things could change. I mean, I suppose Josh Allen to Case Keenum. With Case Keenum, you're probably still going to use Devin Singletary as a low end RB2. You're still going to start Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis is more of a boom bust wide receiver 3 flex with Keenum. I'll play him if Josh Allen plays. Dawson Knox, kind of a low end tight end 1. Naheem Hines, interested to see if he gets a little bit more in there. But I'm nervous, man. If Josh Allen doesn't play, I think Stephon Diggs is, of course, the only must start here. Maybe Singletary. After that, we'll have some questions. So if you guys do have questions on Buffalo, let me know. We'll hopefully get an answer on Josh Allen soon. That Buffalo defense is still startable. McKenzie, Cook, Shakir, leave these guys on the bench. On the Vikings side, we know the Buffalo's defense is really good. I think you're going to want to still start Kirk Cousins, though, as a low-end QB1. Continue to use Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson. These guys are locked in. I think TJ Hawkinson has an opportunity to improve his game with the Vikings. So he's like a top 5, top 10 lock at tight end right now. And then Adam Thielen, I think he's the one that kind of hurts the most from the addition of Hawkinson. So he's kind of a low end wide receiver 3 flex. I think he was limited today with a hamstring or something. So we'll worry about Thielen. But I think the top 4 guys for sure, maybe Thielen, maybe no on the Vikings defense. I think if Case Keenum plays, I'm open to it. If Allen plays, I don't want it. Leave Osborne and Madison on the bench. So again, a lot of question marks in this one with surrounding Josh Allen. But if he plays, I think Buffalo has a chance to continue doing what they've been doing. Let's look at the Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. Bears picked to win by 3, 48.5 in this one. It's all about Justin Fields. He's a top 5 QB play this week. If you picked him up, you're going to feel good about what you got in there. David Montgomery, a nice running back too. He kind of took back the workload over Khalil Herbert, so I don't know if that's going to stay or stick, but Montgomery should be in your lineups. And then Cole Kmet, man, he's caught 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. He's coming around. If you need a tight end, I suppose Kmet can be your guy. Darnell Mooney, I'm open to him as a wide receiver 3 flex. Khalil Herbert's more of just an emergency RB2 flex play. And then we'll see about Chase Claypool. I still think it's a little risky to play him, but I do have him listed as a flex as he gets another week into the offense here. And start that Bears defense. On the Lions side, you're starting Jared Goff only in super flex leagues. Jamal Williams belongs as a running back too, as they continue to work DeAndre Swift back. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's locked into a nice wide receiver 2 floor every week for us. And then again, with DeAndre Swift, you have to view him just as a flex at the moment right now until further notice. In PPR, that's where he has more value. But for now, he's clearly behind Jamal Williams in snaps and routes and touches and everything. So that's kind of where we're at. Say no to the Lions defense, and then Khalif Raymond, Brock Wright, James Mitchell, Josh Reynolds, leave all these guys on the bench. It's coming up the Bears. I think the Bears are starting to flex some muscle on the offensive side of the ball. They have a stingy enough defense right now. And yeah, roll with Justin Fields. Let's move on to the Denver Broncos at the Tennessee Titans. The Titans picked to win by 3, a low score of 39 implied in this game. Ryan Tannehill listed as questionable. Looks like he's going to play, though. He got a limited practice in on Wednesday, so I think he's on track to play. You're starting Derrick Henry. You don't need me to tell you that. And then I'm open to starting, again, that Titans defense. When we looked at the fantasy, or if we look back up here at the week 10 spread chart, the Broncos are projected to score the 3rd fewest points this week. Just 18 points are projected to score. So the Titans defense is a good start this week if you need someone. Again, Russell Wilson's been kind of turning the ball over a little bit more than usual. And then we did get good news on Treylon Burks. He got activated today. He practiced. I don't know if he's going to play this week, but man, if he's still available on your waiver wire, go ahead and pick him up. He might be the piece that they need to help move the ball as a receiver here. And basically nobody else on this offense is usable. So it's Derrick Henry and then only Ryan Tannehill in Superflex leagues. On the Broncos side, Russell Wilson and the Broncos, they had their bye week, but before that, they were starting to heat up a little bit on offense. They've been playing their best ball before the bye. I think Wilson's still a quarterback 2 for me. Again, this is a tough matchup, not a lot of points to be had. So he's kind of just like a fringe top 12, top 15 quarterback. Jerry Jeudy's been the best receiver play in this group, so he's a wide receiver 3. I think Greg Dulcich, really strong tight end option. He's been 3 career games, all in double digits, so I think he's kind of fun as a tight end if you need someone there. And then Sutton, just a wide receiver 3 flex. If you like playing roulette with the running backs, Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray, these guys are both low-end RB2 flex plays. Both have a decent shot at a touchdown. If I had to pick one, I'm playing Latavius Murray. So I'm open to starting that Broncos defense too. I know Derrick Henry's a tank, but Really, there's not a lot of offensive firepower outside of Henry on that offense. And then Hamler, he popped up with a hamstring injury. I don't know if he's going to play. Chase Edmonds, we'll see if he gets worked into the offense. But fun game. I think the Broncos coming off a bye, we might see them start to get things together here. But Tennessee at home, Derrick Henry, return of Traylon Burks, we'll see. Let's move on to the Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs picked to win by 9.5, 50.5 implied in this one. So a lot of points. I do think Trevor Lawrence, if you need a quarterback, say you have Joe Burrow or Lamar, Trevor Lawrence is a fine streaming option this week. You're starting ETN, you're starting Christian Kirk as a wide receiver 2 or 3 in PPR leagues. We're watching for Evan Ingram. I don't know if he practiced today. He had a back injury on Sunday. So I don't know if he plays. Even if he does play, I don't know if I'm excited to get him in my lineup. I think Zay Jones might be an interesting wide receiver 3 flex. Again, we expect the Chiefs to score. Maybe Trevor Lawrence has to air it out 35, 40 times in this one. And then Marvin Jones is more of a desperation wide receiver 3 flex. Say no to the Jags defense. And then what do we do with the Chiefs here? I think you're starting Mahomes. Juju has moved into a must-start wide receiver 2-3 for me. His last 3 games have been fantastic, and he's kind of finally living up to what we thought he could be. You're starting Kelsey, and then at the moment now, Mecole Hardman doing like a really good impression of like a Curtis Samuel type right now. I think he's a wide receiver 3 flex. And then the only running back that I'm comfortable using right now in PPR leagues is Jerick McKinnon. I think he's got the best role there, kind of nice for 7 to 10 PPR points and maybe gets a touchdown to get over that. I'm open to starting the Chiefs defense, but MVS, Kadarius Toney, Clyde Edwards, and Pacheco will leave these guys all on the bench. It's just too risky here. It's coming up Chiefs for me, but I do expect the Jags to be pesky. Moving on to the Cleveland Browns at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins picked to win by 4, 48.5 in this one. It's really simple. On the Dolphins side, you're starting Tua as a top 10 QB. You're starting Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. No questions there. I think we're going to finally see Jeff Wilson supplant Raheem Mostert as the running back to own there. So if you have Jeff Wilson, he's a running back 2 this week. Mike Gesicki, again, with some of the tight ends on bye this week, you might be needing him as a flex option or as a fringe tight end 1 option. I'm okay with that. And then Raheem Mostert. If you have Raheem Mostert, we're not super excited about it. He did get the touchdown last week, but his usage and everything went downward. So he's more of a low-end RB2 flex play, kind of a desperation play right now. Say no to the Dolphins defense. They just let too many points up and too many yards. Sherfield Wilson, no thank you. On the Brown side, coming off the bye, Jacoby Brissett, he can be a nice quarterback 2 for super flex leagues. I suppose if you missed out on any streamers and you need someone for Lamar or Joe Burrow, Brissett can be a streaming quarterback for you in QB1 leagues. You're starting Chubb, you're starting Amari Cooper. We're waiting the health of David Njoku. Before the bye week, he did say he's feeling good and he has a chance to play. So he's going to be listed as questionable. I don't think he practiced today, but we'll see. If he does play, I want to play him in my lineups. And then Kareem Hunt, Donovan Peoples-Jones, these guys are both solid flex options. Say no to that Browns defense, and then we'll leave these guys here on the bench. I'm excited to see what the Browns can do against this defense, but again, I think Tyreek, Jalen Waddle are just too much with Tua, so we'll go with the Dolphins in this one. Let's look at the Texans at the Giants. Giants picked to win by 6.5, 40 total implied in this one. Giants, of course, coming off a bye week. Again, if you need a quarterback, Daniel Jones, man. If you can't get Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, or Justin Fields, I suppose Daniel Jones is probably the 3rd best option of those guys. You're starting him as a fringe top 10, top 12 QB. You're starting Saquon Barkley. And then down here at the flex, I'm not super excited about it. I think Kenny Golladay might be playing in this one, but Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, if you need a dirty wide receiver flex, I suppose those guys could be interesting. I'm open to starting that Giants defense, and then we'll leave those other guys there on the bench. On the Texans side, really, the only must start is Dameon Pierce. He's going to be a low-end RB1 this week for you. Davis Mills, just a super flex option. And then we'll see about Brandon Cooks. He was at practice today. I think he's going to be in the lineup for this one. So if you need him, he's a wide receiver 3 flex play. Say no to that Texans defense. I think Nico Collins has a chance to play this week. He's been out with a groin issue the last few games. Burkhead, Dorsett, Chris Moore, just saying no thank you. So it's all about the running backs in this one. Dameon Pierce, Saquon Barkley, and then use Daniel Jones if you need it. I'll go with the Giants in this one. The New Orleans Saints at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Saints picked to win by 2.5, 41.5 implied in this one. On the Saints side, I have Andy Dalton listed as the starter. I'm not sure if he's going to stick around. He didn't play very well against the Ravens, but the whole Saints team did not play well. So he's a super flex option, more of an emergency option if you need it. You're starting Kamara and you're starting Olave. Taysom Hill remains like a low-end tight end 1 option for you. I think Jawan Johnson can also be a tight end 1 option for you in this one. And then we'll wait and see about Jarvis Landry. He has a chance to play. I don't know if he's a good start in his first game back, but if you need some depth, go ahead and add him and put him on the end of your bench because if he plays well, he might be on the waiver wire column next week. Start that Saints defense and then Callaway, Ingram, Jameis Winston. No, thank you. On the Steelers side, they're coming off of their bye week. I think it's a pretty frustrating group. Kenny Pickett barely useful for superflex leagues. Najee Harris has been a low end RB2 play. There's rumors of Jaylen Warren getting more work after the bye here, so be prepared for that. I picked up Jaylen Warren in a couple of my 12-man leagues as my last player on my bench. Between Deontay, Freiermuth, and Pickens, like you want Freiermuth as your tight end, and then I think I prefer George Pickens over Deontay Johnson at this point. I think Deontay and Pickens are both wide receiver 3 flexes. Deontay more of a PPR play, Pickens better in all formats. So we'll go with that. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense is startable. I'm not super in love with that. I'm hoping to see TJ Watt back at some point, but Jalen Moore and Steven Sims on the bench as well. Tough game. I mean, I think both teams have their backs against the wall. We'll see what the rookie Kenny Pickett's got for Andy Dalton. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh side on this one. Home cooking. We'll see what happens. And moving on to the Sunday late games. The Jeff Saturday Indianapolis Colts at the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders favored to win by 6, 42.5 implied. On the Raiders side, Derek Carr, just a quarterback 2 for Superflex. You're starting Jacobs and you're starting Devontae Adams. Now, if Darren Waller plays, he's been out with that hamstring. I'm fine with playing Darren Waller. If not, Foster Moreau can be a streaming tight end if you need it. I'm open to starting that Raiders defense. Again, we don't expect the Colts to score a lot of points. Maybe Hunter Renfrow, Mac Hollins if you're desperate, but stay away from these guys for the most part. There's just been no fruit behind Adams and Jacobs. On the Colts side, Jonathan Taylor able to practice today, so he's on track to play. He's going to be a running back 2 for me going forward. We're not using Ellinger. I have him as a QB2. He's more of an emergency guy for Superflex leagues. And if Ellinger's going to play, that's going to continue to mean Michael Pittman's a frustrating wide receiver 3 flex. He's not a great play, but he could be. The Raiders, not a very good team against the quarterback in the wide receiver position. I have Deion Jackson listed as a flex. He did miss practice today, though. So even if Taylor missed time, I don't know if Deion Jackson's going to play. So I might move him down to the bench. Pierce, Campbell, Molly Cox, Jordan Wilkins, just leave these guys on the bench. Really, for the Colts, it's like if Jonathan Taylor plays, sure, I'll play him, but I'm not really excited to get any of my Colts in. So we'll go with the Raiders in this one. We'll see if they can bounce back at home. The Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. I'm actually going to be at this game, so we're probably not going to have a Sunday live show, but we'll do my best to answer any questions you guys may have. The Cowboys visiting Lambeau, picked to win by 5, 43 total implied in this one. The Cowboys, I have Dak Prescott ranked as a low-end kind of quarterback 1, more of a quarterback 2. I think for super flex leagues, you're starting him, but he's kind of a fringe QB1 in 10 and 12-man leagues. Packers defense do limit quarterback points here, so it's not going to be a robust day, but just be temperate with your projections. Ezekiel Elliott, just kind of a low-end RB2. Again, Green Bay, for fantasy points allowed, man, they're the second best team. They don't allow a lot of points here. The one position, though, is running back. So Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, these guys are interesting. You're going to continue to start CeeDee Lamb. I'm fine with Dalton Schultz. Michael Gallup is probably the biggest question mark on this team. Again, the Packers pretty good against wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks. So Gallup probably better left on your bench. Start that Cowboys defense, though. Packers offense just not good. With that being said, Rodgers just a quarterback 2 for Superflex leagues. Aaron Jones was on the practice field today, so I think he's going to play. He's a running back 2 for me. Alan Lazard's kind of the best receiver play in town here. I like him as a wide receiver 3 flex. Robert Tonyan can be your tight end 1 if you need one as a fringe guy. And then maybe A.J. Dillon. Again, with Aaron Jones banged up, maybe they say they need a little bit more A.J. Dillon. I'm actually open to starting the Packers defense. Again, they've been holding teams to a decent amount of points. It's at home. Watkins, Toure, Watson, and DeGuara just say no to these guys. It's probably going to be a low-scoring game. In this one, we'll see if Dak in the passing game can get it going. But Packers need a win, man. They're desperate, so I would expect them to give them their best shot. Again, Mike McCarthy returning to Green Bay as well. The final late game of the day, the Arizona Cardinals at the LA Rams. Rams picked to win by 3, 43.5 implied in this one. The breaking news today, though, was Matthew Stafford entered the concussion protocol, so he's questionable for this game. Now, going forward, the offense hasn't been playing well at all, so you should not be starting a running back. I do have Henderson listed as a flex. He's more of an emergency play. But if Stafford plays, like, sure, Cooper Kupp, that's really the only offensive piece I want in this team. So if it is, in fact, John Wolford, like Cooper Kupp is the only guy that I'm going to play in my lineups. And I think even right now, Higbee's not cutting it. Allen Robinson's not cutting it. The Rams are shaky on offense. I'm surprised they're actually picked to win by 3. I think this might be more of like a 1.5 favored type game. So if Stafford plays, Higbee, Henderson, Robinson, these guys are all questionable plays. If you guys do have questions on them, let me know. I'm open to starting that Rams defense. I'm not excited about it. Van Jefferson, Cam Akers, we'll see if Kyren Williams can play. But caution with the Rams right now, a lot of caution. So if you guys do have questions, fire them up in the comments. On the Cardinals side, Kyler Murray missed practice today with a hamstring. Not sure if that's significant, but if he does play, he's a QB1. Connor got a lot of play last week. He's a running back 2 again. You're starting Hopkins, and I think Ertz and Rondale Moore deserve to be in your lineups. Ertz is, like a top 7, top 10 tight end. Rondale Moore can be a top 30, top 40 wideout for you in PPR format. So I have the defense here listed as startable for the Cardinals. Again, if that's John Wolford, I think a lot of people will be looking at the Cardinals defense. And then as long as Connor's healthy, we can't trust Eno Benjamin. So that's kind of where I'm at here. NFC West battle. Questions again, kind of like the Josh Allen situation. Will Stafford play? I'm going to probably say he's doubtful. Finishing up with the Sunday night football game, the Chargers at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers by 7, 46.5 implied. 49ers offense, man, coming off a bye. I have Jimmy G listed as a QB2, but I probably would rather play Jimmy Garoppolo over Dak Prescott. I think he's like a top 10, top 12 flex play, probably a top 15 guy for sure. So I like Jimmy G this week. Christian McCaffrey, of course. Deebo Samuel practicing full today, so he's going to play. Get him in your lineups. And then Kittle, yes. Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver 3 flex, going to be boom bust now that Samuel's back. But again, I like this offense. I think you want to try and get these guys in your lineups. Start that 49ers defense, and then we'll leave those guys there on the bench. On the Chargers side, I do not think Keenan Allen's going to play. They're labeling him as day-to-day, so we'll see. But I think the way we'll operate this is if we're going to expect no Keenan Allen. So Herbert, kind of a late QB1, top 10, top 12 guy. Austin Eckler, you're starting for sure. I think Josh Palmer is like a must-start wide receiver 3 this week here. He looked really good last week against the Falcons. Gerald Everett can be a tight end 1 streamer for you. And then if you need someone, your bye weeks, if you got Higgins or Chase or, someone else, DeAndre Carter will be the number 2 receiver. So he's useful for PPR formats. Say no to that Chargers defense. And we'll see, man. The Chargers have their backs against the wall. Their top 2 receivers are down. 49ers coming off a bye. I don't love the spot for the Chargers. We'll see if they can keep it competitive. But you're probably looking at a lot of passing attempts for Herbert in this one. And then we finish up here with the Monday Night Football game, the Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles picked to win by double digits, 44.5 implied. Eagles are simple. You're starting Hurts, you're starting Sanders, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. Devonta Smith is the real question mark. He has been kind of the odd man out the last couple games here as Sanders, A.J. Brown, and Goddard had all been eating. But I'm willing to use Devonta as a wide receiver 3 flex, start that Eagles defense, and then leave Gainwell, Pascal, Watkins, and Scott on the bench. For the Commanders side, we're going to expect them to have to throw the ball more than usual in this game. So Heineke, a fringe QB, probably like a top 15 quarterback play, super flex. That's kind of the nice format for him. You're starting McLaurin. But again, keep in mind the Eagles have a pretty nice secondary in terms of fantasy points allowed here. Let's look and see. The Eagles, pretty red against wide receiver. They only allow about 30 points. So between McLaurin and Samuel, their top 2 receivers, maybe expect 10 to 15 points each at the most or for a floor. Antonio Gibson, probably the best running back to play in this one. Again, I don't expect J.D. McKissick to play. He's got a neck injury. They're going to be very cautious with him. So I think Gibson and Brian Robinson, it's going to be their duo this week. Gibson more favorable in the passing game. Brian Robinson can make your day if he gets his in, and if he punches one in on the goal line. Say no to the Commanders' defense, leave all these other guys on the bench. I think Washington's a good team. Their defense has been playing well. The offense has been moving the ball. If they can, get pressure on Hurts and keep him in the pocket, we'll see. But again, I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one. Monday Night Football should be a lot of fun. But that's going to do it for me in this one. The Week 10 fantasy preview is complete. Check out the links in the description if you want to follow the charts and all that good stuff. Check out the fantasy points allowed and the Week 10 spread charts and things like that. That's going to do it. Thank you guys for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening, morning, whatever you need. And we'll see you guys in a future video. Peace.